All right. So, hello. This
Hi,
is this is Chaim,
this is Ariel.
and we are doing a podcast right now, along with everybody else and their mom. We, it's my idea, and I'm dragging Chaim into it. So, thank you, Jaime, for agreeing to do it with me today. But I guess I should explain a little bit of the backstory about why I decided that I needed to do this. And Chaim is the first person that I'm trying it out with. So last night, Chaim came home after visiting New York for a few days, and he told me a story about somebody he met who had a near-death experience, and it freaked me out. It was the one part of the story that you told me that hit me the most was when he said that he was in that realm where there were like infinite possibilities, and he could see like each outcome all happen at the same time.
He said that there were mirrors. If you put two mirrors back to back, and what that looks like, it looks like infinity. It looks like infinity. It's not, but it looks like it.
Yeah, it just like keeps going and going and going until you can't see it anymore. And I was just thinking, like after you told me that, all the different things that, like this butterfly effect, that you have a choice that you make each day, a series of choices, and those choices could lead you to different possibilities. And for the past several years, ever since I had my son, I have been trying to figure out like a bigger purpose, and that's really what my mission is right now. And it's not to say that I don't have purpose in being a wife and being a mother, because of course I do, but I also feel at the same time that Hashem wants something more out of me, and I'm trying to figure out what that is. So I thought I knew what that was, and I experimented with, the art thing. We were talking about this in the car earlier, so I'm just gonna tell people who might be watching. I had a miscarriage a couple years ago, and I didn't really know how to cope with it, I guess. So my way of coping with it was by having another baby, and that was me trying to figure out my own business doing art. So I made a coloring book. That took a long time to do, and then from there I started learning watercolor more in depth, and then I started teaching watercolor, and I was doing workshops in Sfat when we were living in Israel. And then COVID happened, and it was just everything got very confusing. Everybody was going through this crazy change, and even more so for us because we moved back to America. Then we moved to the East Coast from the West Coast. It was a very big change. So it's taken me a while to figure out what it is that I should be doing. Yeah, it is scary to put yourself out there on social media. Doing this is scary. And we were kind of talking about that earlier too in the car. How a few years ago we were thinking of doing a podcast about being bald shuvas and interviewing other people with this bald shuva past, or just interesting people that we know, that we've met. And I think personally I was too scared to do it, but after I wrote this Rebbe letter, finished it at maybe 2 a.m.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't fall asleep until 2 a.m. You were asleep before me, but I couldn't fall.
That's rare.
I couldn't fall asleep. And so I wrote Rebbe just speaking about how I've been going through this weird, like, up and down of not knowing exactly what I should be doing. And I wasn't really expecting an answer or clarity, but this morning when I woke up,
Unbelievable.
I just was like thinking to myself, if I'm going through something like this, there's got to be other people that are also going through something similar, and maybe other people out there who are searching for purpose and meaning outside of our daily roles. Like, we know Hashem wants something bigger out of us, and we're trying to figure out what that is. And I want to surround myself with people who have figured it out, and I want to ask them how they're doing it and what they're doing to, or what their process was for figuring out their purpose. So it's really why I felt compelled to start this podcast. I don't really know how long I'm going to do it or like who I'm going to interview yet. I have some ideas. If anybody out there is interested in reaching out to me and, wanting to talk about something they're passionate about, or they feel like they found their purpose, then I would love to sit down with you and interview you and ask you about it.
And the best part is, this kind of Farbrengen style, it forces somebody to A, come out of their comfort zone, and B, lay it all out on the table and reflect on where they've come from. And by doing so, you can go on to higher highs and move and grow to places you never thought possible. So, the goal isn't to, become famous or something.
Right.
The goal is to reach out to people that are maybe also struggling to figure out their own life purpose. And that's why the Purpose Podcast is formed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm really not doing it for any other reason than just trying to help other people and help myself. So it's a bit selfish, but
No, it's not selfish, because you're going and doing something bigger than yourself. It's selfless. You want to interview other people.
Yeah,
If not, you'd say, get off my channel. I'm interviewing myself. Here, listen to what I have to say.
Well, I guess maybe something you just reminded me of is you and I were both in the military, and one of the reasons why I joined when I was 18 was because, well, number one, I wanted to be independent from my parents financially, and I just wanted to have an adventure, but also I felt like a higher calling to do something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
Would you say that was
the initial mindset, and then it was college,
right?
And then money,
right?
And then travel, and then, but the very first thing is I want to be a hero. I remember telling my mom I want to be a hero. She's like, you don't need to be a hero. And she just didn't want me to leave.
Yeah.
But mainly, what Ariel was trying to say is that the calling you ever have, whatever you are called to do, it's really a divine message, and it's specifically sent to you for a purpose and to take action on it. Because if you don't take action on it, did it really happen? That message was wasted. So when these messages come, It's necessary. It's necessary to do it because then we're kind of, you know, going back to that life after death story or near death experience story. This person who told us the story had massive regret. That was the hardest part. Ariel said was for her is while he was up in Shemayim, or however he said it was a big white room, there was scales put in front of him for all of his mitzvahs and averos, his good deeds and his bad deeds, and thankfully his good deeds outweighed the bad. But he was also dealt with extreme guilt and shame, and then he went to extreme bliss and peace afterwards when he was given the chance to go do it again. Go back into earth and go back into your body, really. Our life's purpose of the soul having an ability to come into this world, into the body, is eventually something that we are able to figure out. And the sooner we get that figured out, the sooner we can get started. They say that the Baal Shem Tov says that even if the soul comes into the world for 70 or 80 years, just to do a good deed for one another, that could be its specific sole purpose. So we shouldn't get too worried about it, because the time will come where it will be right in front of you. You can't miss it. That's my purpose. I waited 40 years for this, And once it comes, you'll know exactly when. You can't press it. It took me 30 years to figure out. So there you go.
Yeah. And I think our society puts a lot of pressure on us. We've been conditioned from such a young age to conform to what society expects from you. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, and find a spouse, have some babies. And it's just you're expected to do all these things, and if you don't fit into that cookie cutter image, then you kind of feel like you're not on the right track, I guess. Or as a woman, if you're a stay-at-home mom in America, at least, I feel maybe what I've perceived is that it's not such a positive thing. You also need to do a career. You should be a stay-at-home, or you should have children, but you also need to have a career. So when people here ask me, oh, what do you do for work? I'm a graphic designer. That's what I went to school for. But I don't want to do it anymore. It doesn't bring me joy. It makes me mad most of the time. It's frustrating. And I think
it just makes me mad.
I enjoy the designing and creating, but being a graphic designer, that's what I went to school for. And it's not what my true calling is. A career is not your true calling necessarily. And I don't think there is one definitive purpose or calling in life. I think there's multiple things. I guess just to sum up, Chaim is very sleepy. Thank you, Chaim, for doing this. You've been very supportive, and I love you. And if anybody else out there knows inspiring people, or people who you think know their purpose and would like to talk to me about their cool purpose, then please reach out to me.
Yeah, if you have something, a cool story, or a really special thing that you got going on in your life right now that's popped up and you just need to share, you know who to call.
That's right. Thank you guys for watching if you actually watched this far.
Lala Tov.
Good night. Bye.